just about to head out for work, but I'm sort of like processing some stuff. I was listening to a really cool interview on NPR yesterday that I'll share the link in the comments. But it was about decision making, and in this interview, it was on the TED Radio Hour, which you should listen to if you're not listening to it. But in the interview, this researcher is talking about how sometimes it's so hard to make decisions because both choices are like equally great, right? Like some are good. Oh, thanks, Colette. I feel like it's all, I have my lion mane on today. So some decisions are like, they're hard because both things are like equally good, right? Like this one might be good for some reasons and this one might be good for other reasons. But they sort of like in the balance, they end up being kind of the same, you know, like the sum value of each one is the same. And that can make it really hard to decide between the two of them, right? Because it's like, well, they're both great. You know, it's sort of like, oh, I got into Harvard and Yale. They're both great. So like, how do I decide which one to go with? So this researcher goes through this, like a 5-step like decision-making process where you like analyze this one, you make all these lists, you do all these things, right? So then this morning, I'm reading Mel Robbins's The 5-Second Rule, which is about making split-second decisions. But for her, she's really focusing on those decisions where you know what you should do, right? Like I hate shoulding on people, but sometimes we know what we should do. Like you're at the buffet line, you know you should put some salad on your plate, right? Like you should do that. And you know that you should only put one brownie on your plate, right? Like we know that those are the things we should do. So for her, she's really focusing on those decisions that are, I'm not going to call them easy because they're not easy, but they're kind of the opposite of those other, what the researcher on the TED Radio Hour was talking about, where she was talking about, you know, things where like your options are all sort of like way out kind of the same for different reasons. Whereas Mel Robbins is talking about those things where it's like the decision between like getting up on time in the morning versus staying in bed. The decision between staying on the couch or getting up to do your workout, right? So like those decisions where there's a very clear-cut right choice or better choice there. And for her, she does the 5-second rule where as soon as you're faced with this choice, as soon as you recognize the fact that you have a decision to make, you count down. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just do it. You do something. You move, like you physically move your body in some way to create action. So now where I'm at, and I guess I don't even know if I have any like wisdom to share today, but I'm sort of like, this is what I'm going to think about on my drive to school today. Is like, how do you know, maybe the trick in life is knowing the difference, right? Knowing the difference between decisions you have to make that you need to just act on it to do the thing that you know is better versus the decisions where you may need to take more deliberated time because there is no better choice. There's just different choices. So that's kind of like what I'm playing around with today. I just thought it was really funny that like I got both of those pieces of information like back to back. So I will link the TED Radio Hour in the comments below so you can check that out, you know, listen to it on your drive or whatever. It was really interesting. And then Mel Robbins' book, I posted a picture of it yesterday so you can just scroll back down and see that. But they're both really good and both have me really thinking a lot about decision making and I don't know, like the TED Radio Hour lady is talking about, I wish I knew her name, I'm sorry. But she's really talking about how the decisions we make, especially the decisions where you're choosing between two seemingly equal things, those really define you, right? And I would argue that the quick snap-second decisions that Mel Robbins is talking about also define you, right? Are you a person who chooses the blue t-shirt over the red t-shirt, right? Like that doesn't seem to matter that much, but are you the person who chooses to put salad on your plate or the second brownie on your plate? Those things start to create who you are. And if you can be aware of them and be like conscious of the choices that you're making and do it deliberately and intentionally, then you can intentionally determine the person that you are. You can intentionally create your reality and your personality and who you are, right? I know, Colette, me too. I'd be like, can I just have 2 plates? Like, let me get like a second helping of, and I do. I'm the person who gets up and I'll like have a second helping of salad and a second brownie. Like, I totally do that. That's me. But anyway, so I think that's really interesting. The idea that like, that, you know, your choices create who you are, but there's so many of us and there's so many times in our lives that we just do things, like we just drift around and like let things happen to us, and go with whatever is easiest, like the path of least resistance. So you're never intentionally deciding who you are. You're letting your circumstances determine who you are. But if you can become aware of moments where there is a decision to be made, and then start to like make those decisions, even if the decision is, oh, I'm gonna still sit on the couch, that's fine. Like, that's fine. You just know that, like, this is the person I am. I'm the person who sits on the couch. Great. Or I'm the person who takes the path of least resistance. I'm the person who chooses Yale instead of Harvard, whatever, right? Not that Yale is like a path of least resistance by any means, but anyway, go Crimson, Harvard, yay. So I don't know, I just think it's interesting. So I'm kind of thinking about that, like how our choices create who we are. I don't know. I guess I guess that's a question, sort of. It's like a half-formed question in my mind, but that's where my brain is today, and I wanted to share that. So I'll drop that information in the comments for you, and I hope you check it out and let me know what you think. Bye.